talking about the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. A game that a lot of folks hyped as kind of the best game of week 4. Certainly got off to a start. Buffalo scored in its first drive. Miami scored in its next drive. Then Buffalo scored. Then Miami scored. And we're like, oh man, we're about to get a track meet here. And then Buffalo's defense shows up and absolutely shuts Miami's offense down for the rest of the afternoon. The Bills won convincingly, 48-20. Josh Allen was absolutely spectacular. 21-25 for 324 touchdown passes, QBR of 89, and a perfect passer rating. Perfect passer. Now, again, I don't know how Tua didn't get a perfect passer rating last week. I don't know how he didn't get a perfect passer rating, but Josh Allen, him getting a perfect passer rating, have no qualms about that whatsoever. He was awesome. No question about it. Tua was a little shaky. Again, had a touchdown, a pick, passer rating at 92. Again, so Tua wasn't terrible, but Miami's offense was completely shut down in the second half of that football game. Only 6 points, and then that was pretty much all she wrote for this matchup. So, folks know, or at least folks that watch my NFL preview show with my man Ryan Flowers, Clutch Sports Talk, check his stuff out on Sunday mornings. I did a prediction show, and neither of us were high on Buffalo. I actually picked Buffalo. That was kind of my bold prediction of the season to miss the playoffs at 9-8 in the AFC East. And I don't know if I'm quite as confident about that pick right now, given the fact that they're 3-1 and they're playing excellent football following that loss to the New York Jets on Monday Night Football in Week 1. They're playing excellent ball. Josh Allen has been basically by every metric since Week 2, albeit it's a small sample size, but he's first in passer rating, first in completion percentage, first in touchdowns overall. Josh Allen's been outstanding. And he's looked every bit like a top 5 quarterback in this stretch. However, am I quite ready, to buy into the Bills as legit contenders in the AFC? No, I'm not. We've seen this movie before. They started 4-1 back in 2021, kind of floundered at one point in the season, got into the playoffs, beat the dog, out of New England and Mac Jones, and then lost that heartbreaker against Kansas City, lost the divisional round. Last year, even better. And Josh Allen was awesome at the start of last year as well. They start 6-1. They got wins over the defending champion Rams when we thought they were still good. They beat the Titans. They beat Kansas City. I mean, there was in Kansas City, by the way, some signature wins on that schedule. On that opening, that first part of the schedule, they're 6-1. And then they kind of flounder offensively in the second half of the season. Josh Allen turns the ball over. They barely escape Miami with freaking Skylar Thompson at quarterback. And then they get walloped by the Cincinnati Bengals in the divisional round, and their season ends in pretty disappointing fashion, to say the very least. It is totally fair of me to say I got to see them do it. Because the Buffalo Bills, one could argue that outside of the Dallas Cowboys, and we understand there's always hype for the Cowboys because they're the Cowboys. Outside of the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know if there's been any team in football that's been as hyped up as the Bills have the last 2 to 3 years. But it isn't, for lack of good reason. Stephon Diggs is awesome. The Bills' defense is incredible. Josh Allen is an incredible talent who has an unbelievably high ceiling when he's at his best. Now, when he's at his worst, it can be a little ugly. But when he's at his best, he can go toe-to-toe with even the best, including Patrick Mahomes, as we've seen in the past. But we've seen this twice. I don't think it's unfair of me to say, let's see them do it. It's kind of like with the Denver Nuggets. I remember talking about this when the Nuggets beat the Lakers, swept the Lakers, and got to the finals. And Michael Malone was, and I don't necessarily even blame Mike Malone for doing this, but Mike Malone went to the media and was talking about, hey, you guys were talking about the Lakers this whole time, and nobody believed in us, da-da-da-da-da. I said, okay, that's fair, and you are more than justified in taking your victory lap. You did sweep the Lakers, and you got to the NBA Finals. You should take your victory lap. You won, we lost, as somebody picked the Lakers to win that series. But I remember saying on that next show, I said, time out, coach. We've seen the Lakers do this in the last 3 years. We've seen Phoenix get to a finals in the last few years. Denver's had good regular seasons and then kind of floundered in the playoffs to a certain extent, just lost to better teams. They break through. Hats off to them. And by the way, next year in the playoffs, when the Nuggets are the 1 or the 2 seed, there's going to be a lot of people picking Denver, even in the preseason, to go back-to-back to win the championship, for Jokic to have another great year, another maybe MVP run, and Jamal Murray, and it's probably going to be an all-star this season. Denver's going to be really, really successful. And a lot of folks may pick them, assuming they're healthy, to win the championship once the playoffs roll around next April, because we've seen them do it. That's not to say you, if you are a Buffalo Bills believer, are wrong in believing them to go on this run. I'm just the type of person that, given the postseason failures, including last year, a colossal failure, I got to see them do it first. Again, only one conference title game appearance in the Josh Allen era. Just one. So, big time win yesterday, and they deserve all the props in the world. They are absolutely, spoiler alert, Bryson's best 10 on Wednesday's show, which I do every Wednesday. Buffalo will move higher than 10th on my list. I said if they beat Miami, they're flying up my top 10 list. Because I still think Miami's excellent. I wouldn't overreact too much if I'm a Dolphins fan. Who does Miami have next week on their schedule? The Dolphins play the Giants. They're 9.5-point favorites against the Giants. I don't know. 9.5 feels like a little much, but the Giants will be in a short week, so we'll see. So they should be in good shape to win that game at home. So still think Miami's excellent. Need to clearly work out some kinks on the defensive side. But if you're the Buffalo Bills, you should feel great about your team. You should feel confident about your defense. By the way, a defense that's probably going to get Von Miller back this week. Josh Allen has been, in the last 3 weeks, the best quarterback in football. But once we roll to December and certainly January, I need to see him do it. That's not to say you, if you believe in the Buffalo Bills, are wrong in believing them. But for me, given some bad playoff performances, awful playoff performances against Kansas City back in 2020, against Cincinnati last year, heck, against Miami last year in the game that they won. And I got to see what they do the rest of the regular season, too, if we're being completely fair and honest. So, hats off to the Bills. They deserve all the credit in the world. I still don't think they're better than Kansas City. Now, it's hard to say they're not better than Miami. They beat them by 4 touchdowns, so probably put that to the side for the moment. I think Baltimore's better than them, as much as that sickens me as a Steelers fan to say. But they're clearly, I think they've got a very good shot to make the playoffs. They're 3-1. It's take some kind of collapse to miss the playoffs. By the way, they got Jacksonville. That's going to be so good. Jacksonville, Buffalo next week in London. Buffalo's a 5.5-point favorite for the record next week in the AM here in the United States of America. That'll be a fun one. Josh Allen versus Trevor Lawrence. That's a heck of a quarterback matchup if I do say so myself. Von Miller may be back in that game too. So great for the win for the Bills. But I got to see them do it like late season. As for Miami, no need to overreact. They'll be fine. They're still a great offense. Mike McDaniel will adjust, but they do need to improve the defensive side, which with Vic Fangio as their DC, they should be able to iron that out. And if not, maybe be active at the trade deadline for a pass rusher. I mean, it couldn't hurt. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.